Okay. We're live everywhere. We're going to skip ahead. If you are on the replay, go ahead and skip ahead to about the 2-minute mark. That is about when we are going to start the podcast. But welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast. We're going to be talking today about learning to refocus on your priorities. And I have some. So we're going to be talking today about learning to refocus on your priorities. Appreciate everybody tuning into the show. But before we get into it, I just want to give a quick reminder that the people we are looking to get in touch with this show, the people we are looking to talk to are athletes. The goal of the show is to help athletes gain an edge on their opponent and build their dream careers in sport. And so when I do these live streams, when I do these podcasts, I am looking to get in contact with athletes. I'm looking to make sure that we can give athletes the messages, the tips and tricks they need in order to be successful in their sport. So as you tune in, make sure to drop me a comment. If you are an athlete, make sure to share this with a teammate, share this with a friend, share this with somebody who is going to benefit from the message that we deliver on this show. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about refocusing on your priorities. So this is going to be a good one for you if you are an athlete trying to reach new levels in your sport and you find yourself getting distracted. Whether it's by friends, family, other activities that happen to come up during your week, partying on the weekends, whatever it might be. If you find yourself getting distracted, if you find yourself straying away from your purpose as an athlete, straying away from what it is you do, this is going to be a good episode for you. So it's right around 2 minutes. So let's get into the show. We're going to get started here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the show designed to help athletes gain an edge on their opponent and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are going to be talking about refocusing on priorities. And so the reason that I wanted to bring this to you guys all today is because so often I see athletes that talk about having these huge goals for their sport. They want to be UFC champions. They want to, make it as a professional. They want to make their career in their sport. They want to quit their full-time job, whatever else it might be. But then when I actually dig into how they're spending their time, when I actually dig into what they have happening during their week, the actions and the ambitions just don't match up. The priorities of someone who wants to be an athlete at the top level and the priorities of these athletes that say that's what they want just aren't where they need to be. So today we're going to talk about some of the common areas where I see athletes lose that focus, some of the common areas that I see athletes tend to get distracted from their sport, and then just ways that you can get a bit of a clearer vision on, how much you can afford these distractions, as well as get a bit of a clearer vision on how to refocus and how to make sure you're properly prioritizing your sport for the goals that you have. So again, I'm going to assume if you are tuned into this show, if you have been listening to the podcast, you are a high-level athlete with goals for your sport. You are trying to make it further than you are right now. You're trying to do something with your sport, or you're already doing something with your sport. Now, I'm a huge believer that even athletes at a high level need to have some balance. They need to have some escape. They need to have things outside of the sport itself that they enjoy, because if you don't, life just becomes miserable. You burn yourself out. And if you burn yourself out, you're not going to really be able to compete at the highest level for a long time. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to find that balance and how to really figure out if you're distracted or if you're just properly balancing your sport and everyday life, because this is a topic that I feel like a lot of athletes need. But how do you find that balance? How, if you are an athlete right now, do you find the balance between enjoying everything else in your life and committing at the level that you need to in your sport? Because you do need to enjoy your life. You do need to have things outside of your sport. You're entitled to, family life, friend life, some social life, whatever else it might be. But you also need to understand that if you have high level goals, if you want to make millions of dollars in your sport, if you want to build a career for yourself, build a future for yourself with this sport, you need to prioritize it. It's not going to happen by accident. It's not just going to happen for you one day. You need to work your ass off at it. You need to spend the time on it. You need to put the reps in, because if you're not putting the reps in, you will not make it. That's just how that works. So how do we find the balance between enjoying your life and pursuing that passion? So the first thing I want to touch on with this is that balance is going to be different for everyone. That balance is going to be different for everyone. You can't sit here today and look and say, well, how does Kenny find that balance for himself, and decide that that's how you're going to find it too. You can't sit and look at any of your favorite athletes to follow and say, how did they find the balance? And then that's how I'm going to find the balance too. That's not how this works. Excuse me. Every person is going to be different with this. And you need to be respectful of yourself in that way to figure out how much work you can do that's actually going to be effective, and at what point you're just burning the candle at both ends. As an example for myself, I love to work every day. Like, even when I take days off, a lot of the time by about 12 o'clock, I'm sitting at home going, I wonder what stuff I can get done today. I really kind of want to just get back to work, get some work done. I'll reach out to a couple of clients, nothing major, just get a little bit of stuff done, even though it's my day off. And so I lean into that when that's actually something that I want to do. I'll lean into that. But then I allow myself, when I am feeling a little bit burnt out, I allow myself to just chill. But the other balance of that is I don't work 18 hours a day every single day. I don't live and breathe my business every moment of every day all the time. I make sure to have a cutoff time in the evening where I put all my stuff away and I don't touch it again until the next morning. I make sure to have a good morning routine that helps me and that helps me set myself up for success within the day, so that I make sure I'm not burning myself out when I'm going through my day. But I also know some people that are very good at what they do, that are very successful, that don't work every day. It is not a requirement. You don't have to work every day to build something good for yourself. And a lot of the time, these people that don't work every day are just as high functioning. They're going to succeed just as much as the ones who do, because that's how their body functions. So when you're looking at finding that balance for yourself, stop looking at that person that grinds their ass off harder than anyone and thinking, I need to be like that, and start looking at how you function the best. Start looking at how you function the best. So if you're someone who knows, I can't be around the sport every minute of every day, don't be. Pick the amount of time that you're going to train. Pick the amount of time that you're going to practice. Pick what you are going to do on any given day. Do it really, really well, and then put it away. Go engage in some hobbies. Go have fun with some friends. Go spend a little bit of time away from the sport. This isn't going to hurt you. If you're the kind of person who needs that, this is going to help you, and this is going to help you be more successful when you train. And in turn, this is going to help you be the best version of yourself as an athlete that you can be. Now, in order to really find this balance, the thing that has helped me as a business owner, and I believe can help all of you as athletes as well, is getting clear on your vision. Because I've spoken about this a number of times, but if you're clear on your vision and you clearly understand what it is you're working for, now you can have a bit of a better idea what you need to put into each and every day to be able to make that happen. So as an example, for myself, I'm much more impact driven than financially driven. The goals that I have for my career is to impact the lives and impact the careers of millions of athletes around the world. And I know that finances are going to come with that, and I'm very happy that that financial gain is going to come with that. But the main goal there is the impact. And so I know that because my goal is not to be a billionaire, I don't need to have that billionaire work ethic of, I'm going to work every minute of every day and, be the best at investing and all of this kind of stuff. I know that my goals need to be centered around the work that I'm doing. And that means that the work I'm doing needs to be quality. And if the work I'm doing needs to be quality, then I do need to put some limitations on it, because if I try to work 20 hours a day, not all 20 hours of that is going to be good. That's just not possible. That's not how my brain works. So when I've developed that vision of wanting to impact the lives and careers of athletes, of millions of athletes around the world, that allowed me to shape what I know my work days need to look like. And that allowed me to understand that something like doing this podcast is going to be very important, because the more I'm doing this podcast, the more people are seeing this podcast, the more people that are seeing this podcast, the more people that are getting value from this podcast, the more people that are getting value from this podcast, the more lives and careers of athletes that I am able to positively impact with my message. Does that make sense? So for yourselves as athletes, again, it's the same thing. If you know that your goal is world champion or bust, if you're sitting here and you're saying, I want to be the greatest in my sport that has ever lived, and you're taking your weekends off and you're showing up to training about 80% of the time, and when you don't feel like going, you don't go, you're not living the life of the person you're trying to become. Whereas if your goal is, going off the example of MMA, if your goal is, I want to, win a belt in a regional promotion, yeah, you still need to work hard for that. I'm not saying that that's an easy thing to do. You still need to work hard for that. But again, the work ethic of someone who becomes a regional champion versus the work ethic of someone who becomes the greatest fighter to ever live is likely very different. And your training and your lifestyle need to reflect that. Does that make sense? So if you have that clear vision, if you have that clear picture of exactly what it is you're working towards, exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish in your career, now you can have a better understanding of, first, how much work is needing to go into that, and second, how much time you can afford to spend away from that. The second thing I want you to understand is the gap. So when I say the gap, what I mean is, from that vision, how far away are you and what needs to change? So again, right now, I'm definitely not impacting the lives of millions of athletes around the world at this moment. One day I will be, but at this moment I'm not. So when I started understanding that, when I started valuing that that was something that I truly wanted to do with my life, that is when I got more serious about my presence online. I got more serious about my podcast. I got more serious about understanding how to put my message in front of more people. Because again, if the goal is to impact, I can have the greatest message in the world, but if I don't understand how to get it out, it's not going to reach the amount of people that I want it to reach. Right? So I got more serious about how I was doing things. I got more serious about the message I was delivering, because if I want to have that kind of impact, I need to be able to deliver it on a larger scale. Now, for yourselves as athletes, again, the same thing. If you are telling me or telling yourself right now, you want to be a world champion, you want to be the best who has ever done it in your sport. And like I said before, you're taking the weekends off, you're going out drinking all the time, you're doing all of these things outside of the sport that are taking away from your goal. Now, you've got to understand that that gap is you are not spending the time and you are not being the level of serious that you need to be in order to accomplish that goal that you have. So the gap is the amount of time that you're spending in the sport and the level of serious that you are about the sport. So if you can have a better understanding of that gap, if you can have a better understanding of what needs to change in order to accomplish the goals you've set for yourself, you can again look at your priorities outside of the sport, look at these distractions, look at these other things you have going on, and you can better find that balance. Do you need to level up your training? Do you need to level up your nutrition? What area are you lacking that you need to make an improvement in order to put yourself on a better path for that goal? The next thing I want you to look at is your priorities outside of the vision. So if you have a vision of being a world champion, you have a vision of being a professional athlete, making millions of dollars in your sport, all of that, you're also going to have priorities that are outside of that vision. You're going to have family, you're going to have friends, you're going to have other hobbies potentially. But what is crucial is that you have boundaries with those other priorities so that you can continue to prioritize yourself and your goals at the level you need to. As an example, even in my relationship, this is the best relationship I've ever had for this reason. I have a clear boundary that I have big goals for my career, and those things cannot be sacrificed. So I have certain non-negotiable tasks that need to be done every day. And once those tasks are done, then maybe I can push one or two things to the next day, or I can move some things around. We can spend more time together. But I have that priority for myself, and she understands that, which is amazing because she's got a lot of stuff going on too. But she understands that, which is amazing, and allows me to know that when I have to prioritize my business, when I have to prioritize my work, that's not going to lead to a fight or any kind of problem because she understands who I am, what I'm working towards, and that there are certain things that just need to get done. And that's just that. So for yourselves, I would challenge you, same thing. If you're an athlete and you're trying to accomplish something big in your sport and you're in a relationship, set those boundaries. What are the things that are absolutely non-negotiable? What training sessions can you absolutely not miss? Nutrition wise, are there certain places that you guys maybe used to like to eat together that you now can't eat at anymore because you need to take care of your nutrition on a higher level? Sleep wise, do you need to be getting to bed at a certain time so that you have the right amount of rest, getting up and starting to train for tomorrow? Whatever these priorities are, you need to have that clear boundary set with the people in your life. Because if you have that clear boundary set and they understand who you are and what it is you're working towards, now they can either obviously decide, is this the person I want to be around? Is this a person I want a relationship with? Or they can respect those boundaries and you can have that relationship around those boundaries. That way you can continue to prioritize yourself. You can continue to prioritize the goals you have for your career. And you can have those relationships and they won't be a source of stress for you. Now, the last thing that I want you guys to look at when it comes to refocusing on your priorities is understanding how you function. Again, there are different ways to be a high performer. You need to work hard. There's no argument around that. But there are different people who function different ways. Like I mentioned earlier, I enjoy working every day. But the way that I do that is I make sure that I do the work that I enjoy. I'm not working 18 hours every single day. There are days where I say, I'm not going to touch work unless I actually want to. And then by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I want to do a little bit of work and then I put it away. There are days where I'm up at 4:15 in the morning and I can't wait to get to work and I don't put it away until 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And so you need to understand the way that you function. If you are someone who is just absolutely obsessed with your sport and you want to be involved all the time, you want to be training all the time, you want to be working all the time, because it's physical, that's where the difference of me with business and you guys with athletics differ. Because it's physical, you do need to manage that as well. So I'm not going to say that training 7 days a week is a good idea because it's not. But if you're someone who's obsessed with the sport, you can find a way to be moving forward every single day. You can find a way, even on the rest days, you can do more studying of the sport. You can do other things. But if you're someone who says, you know what, Monday through Friday, I want to grind my ass off and I want to do everything I can towards my goals, but I need that little bit of time to relax. I need that time to chill. Take that time to chill because that allows you to refresh, that allows you to recharge, and that allows you to get more out of your week than if you're trying to grind through those extra hours on Saturday and Sunday anyway. Okay. The number of hours is not the key. The quality of the hours is the key. And that's why I have no problem shutting my day down if I'm really not feeling it, because I know I work a lot. I know that if I'm really not feeling it one day and I shut it down, that's not going to negatively affect my week. that is not going to ruin my company. That is not going to ruin my opportunity to impact millions of people. It's going to improve it, because if I am taking that time that I need, if I am shutting it down when I need to, my batteries are recharging. And if my batteries are recharging, I'm coming back 10 times harder tomorrow, and I'm leveling up that impact that much more. So the last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up the show is, when it comes to these goals that you have, one of the biggest mistakes that I see athletes make is that they work off of how they feel. So, I talked a little bit about, having non-negotiables for your day, having those things that no matter what happens, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what, you absolutely need to get done. And then once you get those things done, you continue to push into other ideas. You can keep working if you feel it, or you can shut it down. What I've noticed a lot of athletes do is, a lot of athletes go off of how they feel. So they show up to training really consistently for, a month, 2 months, 4 months, whatever it is. But then they have that day where they're like, man, I know I have to be at training today, but I just don't want to, so I'm not going to. And the problem is, when you're going off of how you feel, it's easy to show up when you want to. It's easy to show up when it feels good. What's difficult and what's going to separate you is getting those non-negotiables done, even on the days you don't want to. So for myself, talking about how when I figured out my goals for impacting millions of athletes, one of the biggest things that I needed to work on was my presence online. I needed to be more consistent. I needed to be out there every single day, so that people are hearing my message, people are seeing me. And as more people are seeing me and hearing that message, more people are tuning in, more people are getting value, the impact continues to spread. I don't want to do this every single day. I don't wake up every morning excited to get on the podcast. I don't wake up every single morning excited to get those videos out on social media. I don't wake up every single Sunday excited to spend 3 to 4 hours in the gym filming and editing and creating everything that I need to put out during that week. But I know, with the goals that I have, those are the things that need to get done. There's no way around it. If I don't do those things, I don't achieve those goals. And athletes, you guys need to take the same approach to your sport. Having those non-negotiables, having those things that need to get done, and get done no matter how badly you want to sleep in, no matter how badly you don't want to do it on any given day. If those things are getting done every single day that they need to, now you're moving your career forwards every day. And if you're moving your career forwards every day, you're giving yourself the best possible opportunity to succeed at the highest possible level in your sport. So I hope this all makes sense. I hope you guys got some value. I think the stream was giving me a little bit of trouble, so if I was buffering a lot, I apologize. You'll be able to catch it on the podcast, on the replay anyway. But that is it. That is all for the show today. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I will talk to you all again very soon.